Welcome to Baby and Us, short videos to help you feel calm, confident and connected with your new baby.
My name's Catherine.
And I'm Claire. And you'll meet some of our amazing parent group leaders who will share experiences of life with their own new babies.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about how parents and babies' feelings are interdependent, which means closely linked. So I would like you to try and think of an example of when you had strong feelings and you think that they affected your baby. And so try to think of an example. It could be when you had a very positive feeling, like you were very happy or very excited about something, or it could be a more difficult emotion like sadness or anxiety or stress. You could have thought of something like the end of a very busy day when you feel very tired, you've been responding a lot to your child and you're just starting to feel quite irritable because it's the end of the day. And maybe your baby is feeling something similar. They're also quite grizzly and irritable. So your feelings are linked, they're interdependent there. Or it could be a time when you're feeling very relaxed, very happy, and you notice that your baby's also very settled and very relaxed. So again, you're responding to each other there.
I think it's like with anybody really, emotions can be contagious. So when I'm trying to tune into my baby's in distress, as a parent, you really want to be able to fix that. You want to be able to sort it out immediately, stop them crying. And that's not always possible. So then that can lead to me feeling overwhelmed. And then I think my baby maybe picks up on that because they're looking to us for safety. And I guess if they're picking up distress signals from the person who's meant to be keeping them safe, then maybe they're going to sort of feel more panicky.
I think sometimes we're very good at connecting the positive emotions that we're experiencing and seeing that impacts our babies, but not necessarily the negative ones. And I remember when I had my second child and I was preparing to go back to work when they were 6 months old, and I was getting very, very nervous, very worried and anxious, and she was really picking up on this, and her sleep started to become really broken up. She was waking up all through the night.
Feelings and emotions are interdependent with our babies, and we're also responsible as parents to help a baby manage their emotions and manage our own emotions. Then it's important we have a think about just exactly how we do manage our own emotions and think about stress management. So firstly, just have a think about what triggers your stress and what triggers your anger. And we want you to have a look at the handout, which is a picture of the thermometer, and just have a look through this. So I'm just going to talk you through it. So the top of the thermometer, you've got anger as your feeling, your heart racing as some of the physical sensations, teeth gritted, and then the behaviour might be yelling, hitting, screaming, shouting. And then as we go down the thermometer, as we might have things like irritability, just feeling a bit tired, and that might just link to some sensations like our breathing being a bit more shallower, and it just being perhaps a little bit harder in terms of our behaviour to listen and think clearly. And then when we get to the bottom of the thermometer, when we're feeling cool and calm and our heart rate is nice and calm and steady, and our behaviour will be reacting calmly, thinking clearly. So hopefully the thermometer, from that you can see that as our thermometer changes from cool to hot, that relates to how our feelings might change. And you can see from that affects our physical sensations and also the behaviours. So what we need to think about when we're thinking about stress management is noticing these changes. So noticing perhaps some of the physical changes that we might see in ourselves as an indication of how we're feeling, so that we can try and be aware when things are getting a bit on top of us, and we can kind of then, that's the time to sort of take a step back and think about how can we pause and see if we can kind of regulate our emotions a bit more, so that we can get back down to that cool, calm emotion, or at least bring down to the sort of middle ground. Okay, so Catherine, I wondered if you could tell us an example of something that triggers stress for you, or something that has recently.
Well, yeah, an example for me would have been the other day when I was about to cross the road with my children, and a car suddenly came very, very fast up the road.
Okay, so the trigger for you was the car coming fast towards you when you were out with your children. And can you name some of the feelings that happened for you at that point?
I definitely felt very angry at the driver of the car, but also very, very worried and anxious for my children.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And what sort of thoughts were going through your mind at the time?
I had sort of terrible thoughts that the worst could have happened, and that we could have stepped out onto the road and the car could have hit us. So lots of different images and thoughts in my mind at that moment.
And what behaviour what happened next? Kind of what did you do as a reaction to these feelings and thoughts and the trigger?
In terms of what I was feeling in my body, I definitely felt really, really tense, and my heart rate was going quite fast. I started to feel quite hot. So yeah, lots of different things happening in my body. In terms of my behaviour,
yes.
Then I definitely started to shout at the car driver, which was, for me, was quite an extreme reaction. And was probably quite short with my children as well, just because I was feeling so stressed and worried at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess thinking about that and your behaviour, and you said you were quite short with your children, did that increase the stress levels for you of that scenario as well?
I didn't want to be doing that behaviour.
Often, when we're stressed, our thoughts, feelings and how we behave can increase the stress we're feeling, creating a vicious cycle. So if you notice yourself becoming stressed, it can be helpful to think of ways to break this cycle.
So if we can feel ourselves getting a bit tense in a situation, or getting a bit hot and sweaty, our chest tightening, this might be a time for us to think, oh, something's going on here. And you can sort of intervene, and maybe this is the time to put in something in the short term, like taking a few deep breaths to help calm that breathing down, or counting to 90 is another good technique in the moment, or also, if it's safe to do so, sort of walking away from the situation.
I don't know if this is just me, but I get really hot, and that makes me get even more stressed. So often just opening a window or opening the back door and just breathing in some fresh air, just to give me a bit of air and to cool me down, really helps me to get a few moments to kind of compose myself.
So some of the long-term things are all those things we talked about in terms of self-care. So doing things for ourselves, maybe reading regularly, relaxation, talking to other people, taking a break, and making sure we're really sort of looking after ourselves in the regularly, in order to manage our stress levels in the long term.
So I use a meditation app, and I make sure that I sort of see friends, hug people, obviously not in lockdown. I really make sure that I try and connect with my husband, how are you feeling? How am I feeling? I also really, really think that going outside for exercise and fresh air, it's so important to me.
So now we're going to move on to a type of communication that can really help you manage your stress levels. If you wanted to practice assertive communication or good communication with others, what would that look like? So you might come up with being clear with people, being honest with people, letting them really know what you're thinking, what you want, being direct, being caring, to communicate in a caring or kind way, And also to use something called an I statement. So I just want to introduce you to that concept. So as well as communicating in a clear, honest, direct and caring way, an I statement is a really, really useful tool when you're communicating with anybody, with your partner, with people around you, and your child as they get older as well. The I statement has 4 parts, so you can see that it starts with I feel. So rather than using blameful language, you did this, you did that, you start with I feel, and let the person know how you feel, so they know that this thing is a problem for you. Next is when you, and describe what it is that the person's doing clearly and directly, so they know exactly what it is that you don't like. Next is because, let them know the actual consequences of what they're doing, so they know why you want them to stop. And the fourth is it would be great if, and you're asking for help there. An example of this could be, I feel frustrated when you don't do the washing up or leave it for me, because I'm really tired at the end of the day and I just don't have the energy to do the washing up every day. It would be great if we could share it. So yeah, we hope that's something that you will find useful. Give it a try.
It really helps me to think about a structure to express how I'm feeling, and it stops me going overboard. It stops me being too critical. It stops me making it about the other person doing this to me, and it doesn't feel as like, oh, woe is me. It's like, I've got something that I want to express, and I'm going to do that respectfully, and then obviously then it's going to keep things calmer, because whoever I'm talking to is then going to respond in a calmer way. And it really makes me reflect and pause and think about, what is it that I feel and why is that? What are my needs behind that?
So for example, I used it with my mom. It was a summer, it was really hot, and I was breastfeeding. So I remember my mom saying, oh, it's so hot, you should give her a bottle of water. And she was just insisting again. So at one point I just said, I feel like I'm a child all over again when you're telling me what to do. Because I know that I talked with my doctor and I'm an adult now, and the doctor said it was fine. So please, can you help me with this and just trust me that I know what I'm doing right now? And I think it's in that moment she really understood, like.
Okay, so a very short relaxation exercise. Just make sure that you're sitting somewhere comfortable, or standing if you prefer. Either is fine. And we're just going to breathe. So very simple. And we'll breathe in for a count of 5 and breathe out for a count of 8. So I'll just lead us in that now. So breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're just going to finish off finally now with a couple of songs, which hopefully your baby would enjoy. Zoom, 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 we're going to the moon. Zoom, 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 we'll get there very soon. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off. Okay, over to you, Claire.
And now we're going to do our usual ending of Twinkle, Twinkle. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. So we just wanted to remind you of some things you can practice at home and give a go to, which are acknowledging your baby's feelings, also practicing the I statement that Catherine's just been talking through with you, and think about how did it feel to do it and what was the effect. And keep going as well, as sometimes these strategies, it's a matter of having a few goes and seeing how they feel each time.
Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this session. Goodbye.